The special comment Saturday night concluded with a call for politicians and commentators of all political leanings to take a pledge. I asked for them to denounce acts or threats of violence and to repudiate, as I did, anything they said in the past, inadvertent or otherwise, that could be construed as advocating either. In our number one story, the responses from several right-wing media figures, however indirect, have been registered. Josh Marshall of Talking Points Memo joins me in a moment. To his credit, on his website, Glenn Beck today said of the killings in Arizona, quote, "We must stand together against all violence." Never mind that guy over there on the left packing heat. Beck also said the invocation of Sarah Palin's name in all this was an attempt to shut her down. To be clear, the former governor has not been connected in any way to the gunman. Palin's name has been invoked only because of a 2010 web posting on her Sarah Pack website that featured the congressional district of Gabrielle Giffords as one of 20 with a rifle scope bullseye target on top of it. After her vote for health care reform in March last year, the Congresswoman's office was vandalized. She came on this network and talked about the impact of Palin's imagery.
The way that she has it depicted has the crosshairs of a gun sight over our district. And when people do that, they've got to realize there's consequences to that action.
Saturday, Sarah Pack staffer went on conservative radio and explained the misinterpretation of the bullseye graphics.
We never, ever intended it to be gun sights. It was simply crosshairs like you'd see on maps.
Well, it's a surveyor symbol. Rebecca,
surveyor symbol.
Yeah.
From Sarah Palin's Twitter account, November 4th, remember months ago, bullseye icon used to target the 20 Obamacare-loving incumbent seats? Saturday, Palin's Fox News boss Roger Ailes implicitly admitted that there is indeed a climate of violence. In an interview with Russell Simmons, Ailes made the false equivalency between the vitriolic rhetoric of both sides of the aisle, and he told Simmons his orders to his Fox News staff, quote, "I told all our guys, shut up, tone it down, make your argument intellectually. You don't have to do it with bombast. I hope the other side does that." Microcosm of that other side, there was an online death threat against me yesterday, a statement from the one group online that I had to have a motive to see the Congresswoman shot because I had contributed to her campaign. That came this morning, and then the claim in an editorial tonight in a newspaper that I was lying, since the claim that there is a climate of hatred, quote, has no empirical backing. As promised, the founder and editor of Talking Points Memo, Josh Marshall. Good to see you again, sir.
Thanks for having me.
One story yesterday, let me read this directly. A senior Republican senator speaking anonymously in order to freely discuss the tragedy told Politico that the Gifford shooting should be taken as a cautionary tale by Republicans. There is a need for some reflection here. What is too far now, said the senator. What was too far when Oklahoma City happened is accepted now. There's been a desensitizing. These town halls and cable TV and talk radio, everybody's trying to outdo each other. Is there anybody listening on that, or is the fact that it's anonymous all we need to really know about it?
I think that tells you something. I think the key is here, most people in this country like the ballots over bullets model of politics. But we've got a history of a lot of assassinations and political violence in this country, going back, more than a century, 150 years, to the one a lot of us think about. When you start introducing showing up at town halls with guns, when you start introducing this sort of military or, kind of gunfire rhetoric, all these things. The one thing with, Sarah Palin's map, that's just one thing. I'm sure it didn't have anything direct to do with this. But this freaks a lot of people out.
Right. And
people who use that kind of language in a political context can't really be too surprised when something like this happens. People, get in their face a little.
Why not? On that, I mean, apart from somebody, how can someone say, well, those are surveyor's symbols? I mean, it's extraordinary revisionism. But why not just say, we meant no harm, but in light of this tragedy, we're not going to use that imagery anymore, and we hope nobody else does either? How could that possibly be detrimental to somebody from Sarah Palin's organization to say that?
Well, I think I mean, the key is they've done that. They're kind of everybody's pulling things offline. They don't want to admit they're wrong. There's a lot of, accountability is hard for people.
There are different kinds of vitriol, to use that term again, being put out there. There's the overt imagery, the bullseye, and a dozen other things. But beyond that, every time somebody paints the government as treasonous, as dangerous, as having to be stopped, is that just another dog whistle, a different pitch?
I think it's a little different. I think that there's, we're in a very polarized time. There's a lot of demonization in politics. I do think there are certain adjectives and accusations you can make against people on either side. They're traitors. They, all these kind of words that put someone totally outside the pale of our political system. That sort of invites people to think in terms of solutions that are outside of politics.
Right.
Now, I don't put that in the same category of, you know, when a candidate says, well, you know, if this election doesn't work out, you know, we might need to think about Second Amendment, you know, solutions.
Yeah.
We know what that means.
Right.
I think, you know, stuff like that is, again, we have a history of assassinations in this country. People are right to get offended and kind of freaked out and worried when people who are not some obscure person on some blog somewhere, but someone running from, you know, for Senate says something like that, and, you know, they're not kind of shouted down in a metaphorical sense.
Maybe it's good that there's only 30 seconds left to answer this question. The ultimate response to this that has been thrown out, the left and the right are the same.
You know, in the political moment we're in right now, they're just not. And I think you can see it by the defensiveness from the right. There was, you know, when the sheriff down in Pima County said, you know, just, you know, culture of hate and you know, violence and so forth. You didn't see people on you know, the Democratic Party say, hey, what are you accusing me of?
Right.
Everybody knew who was being accused, and everybody knew who's gone there recently. So I think it's something that everybody across the political spectrum needs to draw back from, but we shouldn't kid ourselves in thinking that it's something that's emerging equally from both sides.
Josh Marshall of Talking Points Memo. Again, great thanks.
Thank you so much.